My name is Lauren, and sharing this story feels very personal. It's something I haven't talked about with anyone close to me, but maybe writing it down will help me process it. Last summer, my brother and his wife asked me to watch their son Ryan for the weekend while they went away. Ryan had just turned 18. He's a bright and thoughtful young man, always easy to be around. I agreed right away, thinking it would be a simple weekend of movies, snacks, and easy conversation. The first day went by without any issues. Ryan and I spent time watching a comedy series, laughing and catching up. Everything felt normal. But the next day, things took an unexpected turn. It was late morning when Ryan told me he was going to meet some friends. I was glad to have the house to myself for a while, so I decided to relax in my bedroom. With the door slightly open, I scrolled through social media and eventually put on something to watch. I didn't think Ryan would be back so soon. Suddenly, the door opened. Startled, I turned to see Ryan standing there with a surprised look on his face. "Lauren, I forgot my keys," he said quickly, but his expression said more than his words. For a moment, time froze. I felt my face flush with embarrassment as I scrambled to cover myself. "Ryan, you should knock," I said, my voice shaking. He muttered an apology, his gaze nervous, and left the room quickly. The rest of the day passed in awkward silence. Ryan avoided looking at me, and there was a tension between us that hadn't been there before. That evening, as we sat in the living room, I decided to address what had happened. "Ryan," I began carefully, "about earlier. Let's just forget it, okay?" He nodded quickly, but his expression was hard to read. I thought that was the end of it, but the tension lingered. Over the next few days, Ryan seemed to find reasons to be around me more often. There were small touches, lingering glances. It all felt strange. Yet I couldn't deny there was some sort of connection forming. One evening, as I was cleaning up after dinner, Ryan approached me. His voice was hesitant but steady. "Lauren, can we talk?" "Of course," I said, turning to face him. I can't stop thinking about what happened," he admitted, his cheeks turning red. "Ryan, it was an accident," I said quickly. "There's no need to dwell on it." "It's not just that," he said, stepping closer. "I feel different when I'm around you, like I can talk to you about anything." His words caught me off guard. I didn't know what to say, so I stayed silent, hoping he'd explain. "You're someone I trust completely," he continued. "And I think I might feel something more than that." I was stunned. Ryan was my nephew, and the thought of feeling anything more than family affection was unimaginable. But as he stood there, honest and vulnerable, I couldn't ignore the pull I felt. "Ryan," I said softly, "this can't happen. You're my family." "I know," he replied, his voice shaky, "but I've never felt this way before." I placed a hand on his shoulder, trying to calm us both. "We have to set boundaries. Whatever you're feeling, it's not something we can act on." Even after that conversation, the tension didn't go away. Ryan's presence was a constant reminder of the emotions I was struggling with. I tried to focus on my life, but he kept reaching out. Texts, visits. One evening I got a message from him. "Can I come over? I need to talk." I hesitated, but I replied, "Okay." When he arrived, his expression was serious. "Lauren," he began, "I know you said this isn't right, but I can't stop thinking about you. You make me feel understood in a way no one else does." "Ryan," I said firmly, "this isn't about what we want. It's about what's right." "Then why does it feel so real?" he asked, his voice full of frustration. I had no answer. The truth was, I didn't know why. But I knew we couldn't let these feelings take over. Over time, we tried to act normal, but every glance we shared, every moment alone, felt charged. Ryan's honesty made me confront my own feelings I wasn't ready to admit. My marriage had been strained for years. My husband, Mark, was distant, his attention consumed by work. The emotional emptiness I felt with him made my connection with Ryan even more confusing. One night, after Mark left for a business trip, Ryan texted again. "I need to see you," he wrote. I replied, "Not tonight. It's too complicated." His response was immediate. "Please. I'll keep my distance. I just need to talk." Against my better judgment, I agreed. When Ryan arrived, he stood at the door, hesitant but determined. "I don't want to make things harder for you," he said. "But I can't pretend I don't care." I sighed and stepped aside to let him in. "Ryan, we've been through this." "I know," he said, his voice steady. "But you deserve to be happy, and I can see that you're not." His words hit me hard because he wasn't wrong. My marriage felt empty, and Ryan's presence filled a void I hadn't even realized was there. But admitting that felt like crossing a line I couldn't uncross. "Ryan, this isn't about what I deserve," I said. "It's about what's right." He nodded, his eyes sad but understanding. "I just needed you to know how I feel." After that night, I decided to focus on repairing my marriage. Mark and I planned a weekend getaway to reconnect, but the distance between us felt too great. Every attempt at conversation fell flat, and I found myself thinking about Ryan more than I wanted to admit. By the time we got back home, I knew something had to change. I couldn't keep living in this limbo, torn between my responsibilities and my emotions. Ryan and I eventually found a way to stay connected without crossing boundaries. Our bond remained strong, but we both knew where the line was. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary.